the finance minister's opening of the budget debate for the 2020 for the new fiscal year 26-27. And this morning I'm just wanting to provide a little bit of context to the area that the finance minister will be speaking in, meaning the space that the country is in, and to offer a perspective, the outline thereof. I'm struggling not to say adumbrate, but that's what's in my mind, but you know, I'll use that. Just the structure, yeah, in which she will speak. And I want to make a comparison, a quick one, for the purpose of providing that context that will help to shape perspective so that we can understand the deck of cards that the administration is playing this game with. This Holiness administration, as we've said, is celebrating 10 years in office, 10 unbroken years. The first finance minister in this sequence of years was Audley Fitzalbert Shaw, the Homo technical graduate who went on to become finance minister. And when he presented the first budget of this JLP at 10 administration, let me call it that, things in Jamaica were much different. The economic fundamentals were much different. The world order was much different. Geopolitics was much different. At that time, Shaw wasn't concerning himself with geopolitics. Fayval Williams must concern herself with geopolitics, especially because one of the key things on which her budget numbers have been predicated, Tana, the price of oil will have changed between when she speaks the first word in the debate on March 12th, 10, on March 10, when she opens. That oil price will be different from what it is today, and it will be different from what it was when she started crafting her speech in concert with her handlers. Shaw went into that first budget speech in 2016, predicating his numbers on oil, a barrel of oil, costing $36.90 US per barrel. It could be, based on what's happening in Iran and the bombing of installations in Saudi Arabia, the biggest refinery in the world, bombed, and more to come, you expect. It could be that by the time she speaks, oil would have gone up to $80 US a barrel. So the calculations would be affected by that. The base predication of the budget would have to change. So that's one thing. When Shaw took office as the finance minister in 2016, our NIR at the time was about 2.9 billion US. 2.9 billion US. Today, when Fayval Williams speaks on March 10, she has an NIR of about 6.6 billion. Totally different. Shaw, when he spoke, was looking at an unemployment rate of 13.5%. That was the national unemployment rate in 2016 when the JLP administration was starting its work as government. Today, 10 years later, Fayval Williams will present in an economy where the unemployment rate is 3.3%. Now, at the time, that 13.5% unemployment rate in Jamaica in 2016 was more than double the global unemployment rate. And we were, of course, at that time, one of the 10 most indebted countries in the world, clearly our debt profile has improved significantly. And now, rather than having an unemployment rate that was twice the global average in 2016, now our unemployment rate at 3.3% is below the global unemployment rate of about 4.6%, according to the International Labour Organization. So, key difference there. When Shaw presented that budget in 2016, it was call it a $580 billion budget in terms of the estimates of expenditure. Now, this budget, the government is planning to spend on recurrent and capital expenditure $1.44 trillion. And based on its revenue and loan receipts calculations, it's projecting to collect $1.337 trillion, which leaves a gap of $103 billion. Back then, Shaw was looking to rake in tax revenue of $447.4 billion. That was 10 years ago. Fayval Williams' tax revenue collection projection is $979 billion, more than 2 times what it was in 2016, beg your pardon, 10 years ago. Non-tax revenue, which is of course licenses, fees, Shaw was projecting to collect $30.5 billion from that. Fayval Williams is projected to collect $97 billion, 100% more. Where recurrent revenue is concerned, Shaw was leaning on a bauxite levy of $2.8 billion. There isn't any bauxite levy now in these calculations that the Ministry of Finance published recently. But capital revenue, Shaw was projecting to collect $700 million in capital revenue in 2016. Fayval Williams is projecting to collect $7.2 billion. Much more. Over $6 billion more. In terms of grants, Shaw projected to collect $5.2 billion in grants. Fayval Williams' figure, $6.8 billion. And where loan receipts are concerned, Shaw programmed the loan inflows from domestic and external sources for $89.4 billion. Fayval is $247 billion in loan receipts. So total revenue and loan receipts, $1.337 trillion. Recurrent and capital expenditure, $1.441 trillion. Simple calculation, you have a gap of $105 billion to bridge. Now, I mentioned those numbers to show, one, how far we've come in 10 years in terms of some key indicators, because again, I say there was a time when the health of the NIR, the unemployment rate, inflation, in terms of inflation, point-to-point inflation then and now, Shaw's budget was predicated on an inflation rate of 5.5%. Fayval Williams is doing her numbers based on a point-to-point inflation of 3.9%. So a much better position she's in. And we spoke, of course, about the oil price average as well, that Shaw's numbers were set on, and the uncertainty around which number Fayval Williams will use, given that the thing is in flux, constantly changing, and we don't know where this oil price will be in a week's time. So I put those on the table for consideration and contemplation of how far we've come, the set of variables that exist and which form the plinth, that solid base on which spending plans are based. In the details of his budget presentation 10 years ago, Shaw spoke to money set aside for settling public sector wages. We don't know what figure Fayval is going to tell you has been set aside for that. Yeah, given where the negotiations are right now, but that's also another consideration. So the budget exercise ahead, the speech ahead, what will be the areas where the goodies will come from? Because we've been spoiled for choice in recent time. You expect the finance minister to give you goodies, and then you expect the prime minister to then come and lay it on thick. You know, like when you put peanut butter upon bread and, you know, yeah, share it out, wagga wagga, as them say, you know. That's what you expect. Will that happen this time, given the huge difference between recurrent and capital expenditure and revenue and loan receipts of 105 billion? How much goodies will be in the budget? How much room do we have? And how significant will the oil price issue be to what the finance minister actually presents in terms of the fundamental numbers that will shape the budget that she will give details of? I expect that there will be some disappointment, because there has to be. It's a difficult environment. And with the geopolitics as it is, this thing about economic certainty and certainty in decision making has to go through the window, and other considerations will have to come forward as you try to set down a course for spending and revenue generation, income generation, that can help you to carry the country through the next fiscal year. I'm happy that the job of finance minister is not mine.